and the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Everyone, Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means? It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you, and quite the list of things to talk about this week, but a lot of housekeeping this week, and no better way to start on Memorial Day weekend. Of course, hopefully everybody's enjoying Memorial Day. Hopefully, if you are one of the lucky ones to get an extra day off, shout out to you as well. But it is Memorial Day weekend and deals all over the place. Seems like my email list is full of places having Memorial Day sales. And we always say it here on the channel, you got to get a deal. But you want the best deal around? Look no further than the sponsor of this very episode, jaystoysandgames.com. Use discount code this weekend through Monday at midnight, p.m. of course, or midnight a.m. I guess. You know what I mean. Through Monday, Kyle VIP, as it will save you 25% off all in-stock items. And you'll see a ton of stuff I picked up over in the weekly purchases tomorrow. So make sure you're checking out that video. But jaystoysandgames.com, 25% off. Kyle VIP is the discount code. That is a heck of a savings. And like I said, I took full advantage of that. You'll see a lot of that in the weekly purchases tomorrow. Got to get a deal. And they have these sales every year. This is always their biggest sale of the year, every Memorial Day. And every Memorial Day weekend, I go to their stores, I go to their website, and I say, man, I could have saved 25% on this, could have saved on this, could have saved on this. And before you know it, there's thousands of dollars I could have saved money on. One of these days I'll learn. But head over to Jay's Toys and Games, get some stuff. They're really moving through the inventory over there. So shout out to them for sponsoring the channel as well. And of course, more housekeeping. We're at the very end of May. That means Patreon giveaway. Of course, Patreon members, check it out. Of course, link in the description down below. But this month, I am giving away the Cody and Dusty Rhodes WWE Superstars 2-pack to one of the lucky Patreon members. And I'm also giving away a soft edition cover of my book, The Complete Guide to the ECW Original San Francisco Toy Makers, available on Amazon, available on Barnes & Noble, softcover, hardcover editions available. Or from me, I still got maybe 5 copies of each one left. If you want an autographed copy, you want a free bookmark, you want a Kyle Peterson Show sticker, check it out. Hit me up, of course, on social media, wherever you want to get a hold of me. But this is the Patreon giveaway this month. A lot of stuff going on Patreon. They get all the videos early. YouTube channel members also get both channel videos early as well, including my brand new podcast. It is The Kyle Peterson Show. Just wrapped filming episode 9. Can you believe it? We're almost to the double digits. Episode 9 will drop on Tuesday or right now for Patreon members and YouTube channel members. Check out the podcast every single week. My wife and I break it all down, all kinds of different topics. This coming Tuesday, or right now on YouTube channel members or Patreon, we are going to talk about some surge pricing. A lot of conversation about Target pricing up and down on WWE Legends, for example. Amazon up and down on the new Maximum Hulk. We're going to talk about that in a deeper dive. Diving into a couple other things as well. Some new food to try. Got the album of the week. Got the figure of the week over there. And all kinds of stuff around it all. And quite the story time with Kyle as well. So check out the brand new podcast. A lot of people are enjoying it. If you haven't checked it out yet, give it a listen, give it a try. Give it a 5-star review. How about that as well? So last piece of housekeeping this week is a week from today. If you're watching this on Saturday, May 31st, Des Moines Con. You've heard of New York Comic Con. You've heard of San Diego Comic Con. But have you heard of Des Moines Con? Right in the middle of the United States, of course. But I will be there next Saturday, May 31st. I will be part of an action figure panel. So if you're headed out there, come say hi, check out the panel, whatever. Who knows what Cowboy Kyle might say on that panel. There might not be anybody there. You never know what might happen. But Des Moines Con, May 31st. Check it out if that is your thing. So appreciate all the support. A lot of housekeeping to dive into, as I did say. But now it's time to dive into the toy news. And man, a banner week for toy news, and not the best news this week. As first thing we're going to lead with there is, unfortunately, Diamond Select did finally call it quits. A lot of rumors that was going to happen. They were hoping to sell. Apparently something fell through there. I didn't dive into all the business dealings of it all. But Diamond Select out of business. Where does that leave some things? You have to imagine, obviously the big thing I collected from Diamond Select was the Marvel Select toy line, that Hulk and all-timer of a figure. The Green Hulk, the most recent one. They also did a Red Hulk. Absolutely amazing. What was there? Diamond Select statues of AEW Jazzwares. There was Sting. There was Moxley. There was some of that as well. So all that stuff going bye-bye. I don't know if it's going to be filled anywhere else, if anybody's going to plug those holes. And you know me, I try to plug all the holes I can. It's not always easy. I don't think I can help with the Diamond Select here. So pour one out for Diamond Select. It is always sad. You lose the toy lines. You lose people. There's somebody out there that collected Marvel Select. That was their collection. And now it's over. So it's always a sad day when stuff like that does happen. So I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening in the future. If any of that stuff will migrate, I guess it's probably just most likely done, but we'll see what happens, like I did say. But then the bigger news this week, and a very controversial statement out there, and I get it. There's people that absolutely hate Super 7. Super 7 can do nothing right in their eyes. There's some people that love Super 7, and then maybe there's a lot of people in the middle. I think I covered all bases. So you're one of those three groups, I guess. But I always enjoy Super 7. The thing I always say about Super 7, yeah, maybe it's not always perfect. Maybe there's issues every once in a while. But if you take that step back, there's a lot of properties we would never get action figures from if it wasn't for Super 7. Would I ever have 3 different Lemmy Motorhead figures in my collection without that? I don't think I would. Would there be Danzig figures, Misfits figures, a lot of different figure lines over the years? I mean, you can go to even the Ninja Turtles. There's a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff, but Playmates-inspired figures we never got. There's a lot of stuff without Super 7 we never would have got. And now some people will say, well, they're terrible figures. I didn't get them anyways. It's each your own, pick your own poison, as we say. But I like Super 7 because there's a lot of deep niche stuff that we get thanks to them. The Cat Slayer, how about that? Would we ever have gotten that? We never would have. So I always root for Super 7. Unfortunately, we did miss it last week in the toy news. It kind of happened as I was filming it, so I didn't get to cover it, but we'll cover it a little bit this week. But Super 7 did lay off about half of their workforce. It sounds like half the people that work for Super 7 got laid off. That is never a good sign. Obviously, you lay off 50%. I mean, you're going to have 50% less work if that happens there. So I don't know where that goes. But Brian Flynn, of course, the leader in charge over there at Super 7. And shout out to everybody that got released from Super 7. I hope everybody lands on their feet. Good brothers out there like Kyle. I was talking about the Lemmy figures. Of course, Kyle over there designed a lot of that stuff. So hopefully he lands on his feet. Hopefully he keeps rocking out some of the stuff he was making at Super 7 for other companies in the future. We'll see what happens there. But Brian Flynn, the leader of over at Super 7, did release a statement this week. And once again, I put my business hat on for this one, and I don't know if it read quite good. And I'm going to just read the beginning of it. I will post it on the screen so you can read the whole thing or read it later, whatever you want. But it does say, to our valued Super 7 supporters, last week was really hard. Obviously, it's always hard when you get rid of people. So that is a nice, I guess, lead in right there, because it was hard. And I've been a part of, oh gosh, I don't know how many reorganizations in my day-to-day work life. Usually about every 2 to 3 years, there's a reorg. And it's always tough because a new company buys in. Like Super 7, about a year ago, they got an influx of cash from a third party. I remember saying at the time in the toy news, well, we'll see what happens a year from now, because things always change a year later. I'm dealing with something like that in my day-to-day work life, and I've been a part of that multiple times where everything's business as usual for about a year, and then everything changes, and that's where layoffs happen. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Super 7 here. But last week was really hard. I guess you could say stating the obvious, but you got to lead with something like that. And then it does say, as you may have heard, we had to make the difficult decision to let team members go. These are people who are doing the best work in the industry, none of whom deserve to be let go. I want to be clear that this reduction in staff is a direct result of the tariffs applied to our industry. The preceding 6 months before the tariff announcement had been Super 7's best since the inception of the company nearly 24 years ago. Then the landscape changed overnight. There is a lot to unpack right there in that one. And I'm not going to read the rest of it. You can read it as well. But there's a ton to there. So, people doing the best work in the industry, none deserve to be let go. I would assume that means Brian Flynn and the other executives of Super 7 are writing nice letters of recommendation for these people. I'm sure they are. I imagine that is the case. But it really sucks when you hear that, I shouldn't have been let go and my boss didn't even want to let me go. Or you could look at the other thing, and they're using this as a scapegoat, because some people have said Super 7's had trouble. Obviously, they got that influx of cash about a year ago. To a certain population is reading this saying this is smoke and mirrors. This is trying to cover our trail right here through this statement. Now, the thing that I disagree with the most on this part here is the preceding 6 months before the tariff announcement had been Super 7's best since the inception of the company nearly 24 years ago. So 6 months before, you were at the top. You were riding the top of that wave, money coming in hand over fist. Now, playing the devil's advocate a little bit right here, did any of the people that got let go or any of the people that are currently there get any extra funds, any extra money, any extra bonuses? I don't know this. I have no idea. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But it sounds like they were riding pretty high for 6 months, at the top of the house, really, for Super 7. So did anybody get some benefits of that? Or did it all go to the bottom line? Where did all that money go? And in return, hey, okay, now guess what? I thank everybody that was here that got us to the top of the mountain for 6 months. Now we have tougher times. And I get it. We've talked about the tariffs. We've talked about the Tariffs, Todd McFarlane. Shout out to Brian Alvarez in the comments. He also let me know in the comments that he also calls them Tariffs. And he said it's not very funny, but I wasn't thinking it was funny. But he did. Shout out to him. But they were riding the mountain at the top. Now when things come crashing down and when it hurts inside, as it does right now, I think for some, where was that money? Hey, you had all this money for 6 months. Why not stand against the best of the best as far as employees go? Let's stand with them for a little bit. Let's bide that wave and see what happens with these tariffs. Because as we've seen, they've been up, they've been down, they've been up, they've been down right now. Are you getting a little bit ahead of yourself, especially since you came off a hot 6 months? Why let all these people go? Why not wait a couple of more months down the line, see how things settle out, especially if you're at the top of the mountain, you probably got some extra money you're sitting on. Let's just cover that. Let's cover those expenses. Let's dial it back. Let's dial back our hotel expenses, our meal expenses, maybe some rent, things like that. But why let go of all these people, especially half of your organization, when these things just happen? And let's be honest, a lot of the stuff that's in warehouses, Super 7's own warehouse, has not even been affected by the tariffs as of yet. So I don't know how this reads. This reads a little rough, and it's almost a statement that they should have probably dialed back or looked through. That's just me putting my work business hat on, who's had to unfortunately write things like this, and it's never fun to do. But you got to make sure that all your dots are crossed and your T's are I'd, I guess is what you want to do, because that opens up a lot of holes in that message there. And it just reads really bad that, hey, we're a company that's going to make a ton of money and we're going to, leverage our people to go to the top of the mountain. But when times get tough, just barely tough, just the start of tough times, I'm getting rid of all these people. I don't like how that reads at all. I just really don't. And maybe I'm misinterpreting it. Who knows? But I, like I said, am rooting on Super 7. There's a lot of properties I collect and review here that I enjoy that I know I will never get anywhere else. So I want to root for everybody's success, but man, it's going to be tough for Super 7 because basically the long form of this, they're dialing it back. They got 50% less people. They're going to be more productive as far as things are hitting the bottom line instead of passion projects where maybe they're doing it for fun, just hoping to break even. Those days are gone. As I say every single day in my business life, there's no such thing as break even. I'm not in a break even business. I'm here to make money, make profit. I don't want to break even. That means we didn't do anything if we broke even. We might as well not even do it if we break even. We got to put things in there. And, at the end of the day, we're not a nonprofit. That's true, too. So I don't know. I don't know where things go with Super 7. I think it's going to be really dicey. I think San Diego Comic-Con is going to be very telling. Super 7 always had a huge place. They'd have the Cat Slayer, things like that there. What are they going to have this year? Are they going to dial it back? Will they be at San Diego Comic-Con? They got less employees. Going to be very interesting to see how this all nets out. And then the tariffs have gotten a little bit better. We're still in negotiations. There's 90 days. Obviously, it's uncertain times. I get it. But at the end of the day, you do follow the money. So it's going to be really interesting where all that goes. And it'll be really interesting. Let's say by the end of summer, they get something figured out. Is Super 7 going to add back a lot of jobs? They're going to call some of these people. And then some of these people they call, they're going to say, fool me once. I don't want to go back to this. Where the going gets tough, you immediately put me to the side. I don't know. So it's a very interesting business topic right here with Super 7. Going to be very interesting to see where that ends up going. But I'm rooting everybody the best. I want Super 7 to succeed. I want everybody to let go to be successful. We'll just see where it goes. And at the end of the day, though, I want my pocketbooks lined with money, and I want to save as much money as I can, too. I got to get a deal out there, but it is what it is. So we'll see. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the Super 7 stuff and try to take it diplomatically and with the business hat on, maybe, because I know somebody in the comments is just going to say, oh, Super 7 sucks. I hope they go under. Well, I don't know what that gets across, but there'll be some of that, I'm sure. So there you go. But also, we talk Diamond Select. We talk Super 7. How about now we talk about Power Town?
Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering?
Or maybe not. No update on Power Town this week here. Just nothing but pain, as we know. Still wish they would update their website with everything they put out on social media. They didn't even put an email blast really out. So I don't know. And the tariffs have gotten better. So is that stuff shipped? I don't think anything is shipped, but Power Town update, it rages on. We'll see what happens next week, I guess. But how about some figures that did go up, or I was going to say released, but they went up for pre-order, but they should be shipping probably next week. The Jazzwares Vault on Friday, we finally saw the Golf Cart 3-pack. Talked about that a little bit last week. It is up there, and I was very happy to see 20% off everything on the Vault this week, so got to get a deal. I was okay picking this one up as it was 20% off, but you do get Matt Hardy, you do get Kenny Omega, you do get Sammy Guevara, you do get a cardboard golf cart. It would be great to find a scale golf cart that would work for this. I'm sure there's got to be something out there somewhere. We'll see where that goes, but we'll probably have the unboxing here in a week or so stay tuned for that, of course. How about Sabu? Man, we talked about that last week. Tough times losing Sabu. Sabu, an absolute favorite of mine. Sabu Micro Brawler this week, and very cool that it was weird at the time that he wore kind of that white suit to wrestle in. It was very kind of a head scratcher, but now everything that's happened, he has passed away. I love that it's a one and done moment in time. You see this Sabu figure, you exactly know what this is from, so I like that a whole lot. Proceeds going to Sabu as well. If you're into Micro Brawlers, check that out over at Pro Wrestling Tees, of course. How about a little grapplers and gimmicks? Of course, Mitch over there at Hasbro Toys. 3 different variants of Jake the Snake Roberts. Got to say, these look really, really good. I can't wait to dive into these myself. 3 different versions of Jake the Snake, limited to 1,500 Jake the Snake Roberts figures. If you're after Jake, pre-order is up right now. And we know he turns and burns over there, so shipping should be a lot sooner than some of his competition. For good or for bad, depending where you sit on the Grapplers and Gimmicks line, Mitch does get that stuff out. So I'm very excited to see these Jake the Snake Roberts figures. How about Top Rope Collectibles did show off Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, and it looks like there's going to be a variant that comes with a mirror. So cool enough, a moment in time for Paul Orndorff in WCW. We'll see how that one goes in the future. I'm kind of excited about this. I was kind of on the fence on it. I did get the PN News. I did enjoy that one. I feel like I wouldn't mind getting all these figures. We'll see if I want to go deep into the variants, so we'll see what happens there. But Paul Orndorff coming in extra hot. And then Title Run Toys. I always get those two confused, but Title Run Toys. Last week, we showed off images of the Jumping Bomb Angels. This week, we got colorized versions there. And strangely enough, I'm on YouTube the other night, and I'm watching old episodes of Primetime Wrestling. Because why wouldn't you watch that at like 2 o'clock in the morning when you're editing videos and you got to be at work at 7 a.m.? Why wouldn't you do that? I know I do. And strangely enough, a Jumping Bomb Angels match came on against Judy Martin and Leilani Kai, who were the tag champs. That match did come on, so it was interesting to see the Jumping Bomb Angels after talking about them recently here on the channel. So interesting to see that. But that's it for wrestling. No Mattel news as of right now. A lot of stuff laying in the weeds. I think we're going to have a lull here coming up very soon. Just going to see what happens to come through the door. But one thing, you would not assume there's any kind of a lull if you watch weekly purchases tomorrow. One of the biggest hauls in months tomorrow. So I got a lot of stuff through the door. We'll dive into all that in weekly purchases, of course. But how about a few other things to talk about this week? How about our friends over there at Mondo? And I did get a new Mondo figure this week we'll talk about tomorrow. But Mondo finally did put Mum-Ra up for pre-order. It's a month-long pre-order on this one here. So we basically got a few more weeks. I'm going to wait till the last minute. And I did say that Mum-Ra and Lion-O is where I'm calling it quits on the Thundercats. They're just pricing me out. Pricing me out is what's going on there. But I feel like those two is a good representation. I'm fine with that. But Mum-Ra, unfortunately, it's about $350 plus, depending where you live. Unfortunately, they are charging shipping on this one. A lot of times shipping's included in the cost, and I really wish Mondo would just do it that way. But you're going to have to pay shipping on there. And then there is a tariff fee, Todd McFarlane. Yes, the tariffs. We got that going on top of it there. And still, I just don't like them putting in there. I understand it has to be to the consumer. You got to say that. You don't have to say that. I should walk that back a little bit. To me, these tariff fees, here's what I do, put my business hat on. If they are true, now we've seen instances where they're obviously true. There's a 30% on China right now. However, and 10% on Vietnam. So we got to watch that too, because some of these companies trying to enact a more expensive fee. And wait a minute, it's coming from Vietnam, not China. I shouldn't have that fee. Knock 20% off of that one there. But you got to be a little bit careful on the tariffs, especially of depending where they're coming from, the country of origin. You know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. But I wish they would just take those tariff fees and put it into the price of the item. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to check out and say, oh, here's an extra $20 for tariff fee. Just tell me that it's $20 extra as the cost. Mum-Ra was going to be $350, now he's $370, or whatever that number might have been. He was supposed to be $280, he's going to be $299 now. do it that way because it makes it feel political. And obviously people don't want to talk politics with their action figures. Obviously some do, but it creates a conversation. It creates noise that you don't need in there. Just say, hey, new pricing structure, Mumra going forward is $2.99. No need to put the tariff thing. It's like, well, I'm just placing the blame over here. And I get it. That's what you're doing. You do have that fee. But like we said, and we've seen numerous times from a lot of these places, they're taking fees where maybe they don't need to. Maybe stuff's been in the warehouse, whatever the reason may be. I think you just put that into the cost of things. And then nobody can answer the question like, well, it's supposed to be 30% right now and it just went down to 20. Why am I still paying a 30%? It makes them not have to be as nimble because, hey, the price is $2.99. If you have a tariff fee here, a tariff percentage, well, that's ever fluctuating. Tomorrow it might be there's no tariffs anymore. Why is there still this fee on here? So it opens them up for conversation. I don't think they have to. I think you just put the fee in there. There was a recent law passed, Congress, whatever it was, about like Ticketmaster with all these stupid fees at the end. They had to put all that back in there. I think they need to do the same thing with this as well. Now, we're early in this whole tariff thing, but I think all that needs to be just put back in there. I don't want to see a tariff surcharge on my bill because, oh, I'm getting Mumra for $280. Oh, wait a minute, it just jumped to $300. Oh, wait, now I got $30 shipping. Now it's $350 or whatever it is. So that's one thing I would like to see go away or at least change. But if you want your Mumra, it's up right now. Face plates on this one. I find that to be very interesting as well. So we'll see where that goes. Can't wait to review that on the channel, but that could be the end of my Thundercats Mondo just because the price, it's an expensive hobby. We all know this. Mondo, we're talking Mumra, but now we're moving over to Masters of the Universe and we're moving over to Mattel. So two things came out this week. Of course, Club Grayskull riding on a Saturday, Todd. Usually that's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday thing over there at Club Grayskull. However, I did wear my collared shirt here today, as you guys can see. So I am welcome into that club, even on a Saturday morning to pre-order Despara, right? Despara. Had her in the Classics line as well, but we do have her coming. So she is a Club Grayskull exclusive, or at least limited Club Grayskull exclusive. But if you need her Saturday morning, as you're watching this right now, if you're watching it as it drops, she's over there on the old Club Grayskull Mattel Creations. Pick her up if you need her. And then one I missed out on because guess what? Kyle has a day job and he's in meetings sometime. And it's funny, as last week in the weekly purchases, somebody said, do you ever miss out on things? Yeah, I miss out all the time. And I gave examples of me being in meetings and missing out on pre-orders. Same thing happened this week. He-Man Skeletor 2-pack over there at Target, like a vintage collection, a throwback 2-pack. Coming, I think it said July 20th. So I have to imagine it'll come in and out of stock. If not, I'll find it in the stores. It is what it is. But always disappointing to see something went up and you missed out on it. But that's one of the examples right there. But if you're after the He-Man and Skeletor, and apparently they're going to have squishy heads just like the old days, be ready for that. But those two are going to be a Target exclusive. Look very good. Can't wait to dive into those as well. But now we turn our attention and we finish off the toy news video with our friend Todd McFarlane on the couch. Todd, the up and down roller coasters of McFarlane toys. We're still waiting to hear what's going to replace this DC stuff. You are adding some of these ancillary lines. You added something of some Muppet or some puppet kind of thing this week. I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to collect it. But Todd looking at filling some gaps. I'm plugging holes. Todd's filling gaps. We work together pretty well. But Todd over there this week coming out with a lot of announcements, a lot of things shown, and you'll see in weekly purchases, once again, plugging that video. A lot of stuff coming out this week at the stores, and I picked up a lot of McFarlane stuff this week, so stay tuned to that in weekly purchases. But this week, we did see the McFarlane Cyborg Gold Label Target exclusive. Of course, a paint variant over there, Target. He's got the red on, so he's got to be a Target exclusive. So we will see that coming here in the next couple of months. We did see some leaked images of a new 52 Superman. Not super exciting. Almost reminds me of Superboy a little bit more. But one I'm kind of excited about is Superman Godzilla. Now, we saw Batman and King Kong. Now we got Superman Godzilla. Once again, comes with a little page puncher Superman, full-size Superman, and a big old Godzilla. I kind of feel like I need that for my yin and yang with Kong and Godzilla, so I will pick that one up. I just got to finish the story. Got to finish the monster story is what I got to do. But it looks pretty good. And then we did see Strange Lives of Superman Collector's Edition. Oh my gosh, there's also a Platinum edition of that one. That one is going up for pre-order next week, but it sounds like some stores might even be carrying him next week, so we'll look at that one there. But this is much similar to the Green Lantern Collector's Edition from a few series ago, where you got multiple heads on this one. So you got to buy multiple bodies to display. You want to display a regular-looking Superman, you want Lion Superman, you want big head Superman. You're going to have to buy multiples of this one. And there's a red variant one, or the Platinum Edition one, included in that as well. But that's going to be very interesting to see how well that one does. But I like these collector's editions. A lot of them have been pretty good. We've unboxed all of them on the channel, be it Kyle Peterson, the one you're watching on right now, or my other YouTube channel, Kyle Peterson 2.0. Just shy of 7,000 subscribers on Kyle Peterson 2.0. I think we need like 4 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to Kyle Peterson 2.0 yet, what are you waiting for? We did just hit 51,000 subscribers on this very YouTube channel. That means we'll do another special top 10 next week, so stay tuned to that as well. A lot going on the channel as usual. Videos every single day, as we do know by now, and you do know. 4 videos a day. 4, like the 4 horsemen, of course. But there it is. That is the toy news this week. What are you interested in? What are you excited for? Anything tripping your trigger? Let me know in the comments down below. Be interested to hear your take on Super 7, Diamond Select, and all the stuff we talked about here this week. Of course, like I said, subscribe to both the YouTube channels. Check out YouTube channel memberships and the Patreon for early access to everything we do between both YouTube channels. A lot of content to keep you busy over there, and your best way to support the channel. You can also pick up my book, The Complete Guide to the ECW Original San Francisco Toy Makers. Great read. Trust me, it's a great read on a Friday night. You can't read anything better than that. Trust me on that one. Check out the podcast. My wife and I break it all down. We try to keep it as PG as possible, but it just doesn't work out that way a lot of the times. But check out the podcast each and every single Tuesday, wherever audio podcasts are found. Video cast on YouTube. It is The Kyle Peterson Show. And don't forget SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and The Kyle Peterson Show @gmail.com. And Todd, you know what I'm doing? I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into a Memorial Day weekend.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?
Get that wheel to